first turn. Indicator left, down the slope. What a shot. What a shot, is it? Oh, would you believe that? Rory McIlroy. What a round of golf. It's one outside the Augusta course record.
This is way more aggressive than I anticipated. Oh, man! What a shot! I'd say that's pretty good. Whoa!
Good evening, golf fans, and welcome back to the Putting for Dough DFS show. First of all, happy Valentine's Day, fellas.
Can't believe we're spending it with each other.
I know. I mean, it's a pass, but it's just about a pass. I don't know about you, but I mean, I could barely even walk through the hallway this morning, inundated with cards and gifts.
Oh, you got them then? They arrived then, yeah?
Yes. So thanks a lot, Mark, for sending them. Mate, I know that you were just trying to make me feel a little bit better. But yeah, we're here to talk golf this week, not talk about Valentine's Day. Jack, you can kick us off. How are you and how did your week go last week?
Yeah, I'm fine. When you've been with someone for 13 years, I don't know, Valentine's Day is a bit...
14th of February for you today.
Who gives the toss, really? Yeah.
The love doctor is in the house.
Sorry, yeah, the love doctor.
Said love is
dead. Yeah, I'm good. I enjoyed the golf last week. I did have my first losing week since September. It wasn't a massive loss. It was like $25. So yeah, I'm a little bit annoyed that cut moved from 1 over to level par, really, because if it stayed at 1 over, then I could have had a very profitable week again. But hey ho, this is the streak has come to an end, but we'll go again this week, and we'll go again for another streak. It was the narrowest of margins. As I say, if the cut stays at 1 over, then it's a completely different story this week. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good golf event, and yeah, it's just a stacked top of the leaderboard, wasn't it? I mean, I thought Rahm was going to win it. Scheffler come through. I thought he was a bit lucky, actually, if I'm brutally honest. Scheffler, spraying the ball a bit everywhere off the tee on Sunday. He got away with it. But he found his putter, and I think we kind of mentioned that last week. If he found his putter, he was going to win. So he did. He found the putter, and he ended up winning. Went back to back at Phoenix, and he obviously loves that golf course. Yeah, I'm ready for this week. The big cat is back, as they say.
Yeah, I think I watched a bit of the golf over the weekend where I could. Although I did have a fairly busy weekend. And interesting to see some of the things that the PGA are doing, I feel, in retort to some of the stuff that's happening over at Live. But obviously we saw Max Homer the other week being interviewed as he was walking the course. Mike's on the... I feel like that there's like enhanced mics almost on some of the fairways as you're listening to the golfers and the caddy discussing the shots. But also the PGA, I noticed, retweeted a video that a fan had done this week, which they never do. It's always their own product that they put out there. So nice to see a little bit of change in behaviour there from the PGA, because the shot that they retweeted was one that wasn't actually televised as well, which was all the better. Mark, how did your week go?
Slightly better than Jack's, I think. I made a tiny little bit of profit. I won the most important competition of the lot.
That was terrible efforts all round. I think in that between all.
Yeah, there wasn't any great pride in that.
Close. Well, it was very close.
It was really close. Jack, even with his 3 out of 6, was like winning on the final day.
Yeah.
But anyway, there you go. Who'd have thought the scoreline would have been 3-2-1 after 6? Who'd have thought it?
I told you last week, if anyone was going to break that cycle, it would be me. And lo and behold, I've broke the cycle. So
you're a pioneer, Nick.
That's probably me for the season now. I think I'm done. Certainly won't be anything else chalked up in the first column. Might get a couple of things in the second, and certainly plenty in the
You're
third.
trying to reverse jinx it. I can tell you are.
Well, that's
what you showed up this week. You might as well just not show up, because then when you don't show up, you win.
Yeah. If it doesn't go in my favour again this week, I'll change tack next week, and you probably won't see me till the following week. So we'll see.
Nick, in regards to the PGA stuff as well that you mentioned there, I don't know if you've heard, but they might be changing a few of these elevated events next year. So we're going to get a field of like 75 golfers and no cuts. I'm not really sure I like that. So there'll be a couple of them that are
no one likes it,
which I think is wrong as well, because you had Nick Taylor this week who finished second behind Scheffler at Waste, and he earned like 2.2 million just for finishing second because it was an elevated event. That was more than his 2 combined wins on the PGA Tour. Just for finishing second. I think that's a bit wrong if they go and start doing stuff like that. I'm all for them paying the golfers more and things like that, but I don't know if I want them to have more no-cut events. That's something I do not like myself personally, but
yeah,
I'm a bit of a golf snob. I'm not the biggest fan of the mic'd up thing on the golf course with the golfers talking. I mean, it didn't affect Max Homer because he went and won, but I couldn't imagine Tiger Woods doing that. I don't think Tiger Woods would ever do that, not in his prime. So yeah, I'm just a bit of a golf snob. So I get why people like it. It's cool. It's like people, there's a lot worse things on the PGA Tour than golfers that are mic'd up at Pebble Beach. We won't go into that rant again.
Are they proposing no cut and a 4-day event, or are they proposing no cut 3-day event?
No, this is a no cut 4-day event. I've heard that the event this week, Genesis, is going to become one because it's an invitational event.
What they should do is the events that are now 3-day cut events, they should just extend them to 4-day no cut, but leave the rest alone. I like these events where there's a cut after 36 holes. Yeah. Like these don't need to become no cut events. The other gimmick events, you can make them no cut events if you really want to. The Pro-Ams, the Hawaiian events, stuff like that. Leave these ones alone. These are good events, really good courses, a lot of history there behind them.
I would be a fan. It's just a rumor that I heard going around that's what they're looking at for next year.
I've heard nobody say it's a good idea though. I've seen literally nobody say they like this idea.
I think Tiger said something in his press conference about it today, because obviously he is the ambassador for the PGA Tour and he's the number one guy at the top. I think probably everything goes through him, Rory, and maybe a couple of the others at the top, Rahm. I think, everything that sort of starts with them and dwindles down to the rest. But I just think it's unfortunate for guys like Nick Taylor who's earned that. I mean, that's a hell of a lot of money just to earn from one event. It'd be a shame because you're going to lose that story every now and then. I mean, it was the top of that leaderboard last week was just, I mean, you had Finau up there, Schauffele up there, Ricky Fowler come back. It was just, it was stacked. Justin Thomas had the round of his life in the last round, and for some reason I'm betting him this week. Just it was a stacked leaderboard. So, but there was a couple of the lesser players sprinkled in at the top, and they earned a lot of money from playing on that event. So, I think it'd be a shame.
Golf is about having a 36-hole cut, isn't it? It's integral to the game. It's like taking away, I don't know, offsides from football or something like that. It's like you just can't do it. It's just, yeah. I mean, the phrases the phrases in society. It's like it's in our sort of our use of language. Making the cut and stuff. It's like it transcends golf. So to take it away from golf just seems crazy. I mean, I don't like WGC events anyway already.
Yeah.
So it's just adding more of them.
I mean, I get why Liv do it because they've only got 48 players as such. You can't really have a cut with 48 players.
And they play over 3 days rather than 4.
And they play over 3 days. So I get why they do it. I don't think the PGA, it's not something that I think the PGA Tour should be copying from Liv.
Yeah. I think what works with Liv as well is the fact that, like you said, smaller field and it's shotgun starts. So I think that's why it works in that as well, because you literally get in the golf thick and fast. You don't really have time to process a cut. Like a cut wouldn't work in Liv because the action just happens so quickly. Everyone starts, everyone finishes.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have time to even process a cut. Whereas in the PGA or DP World Tour, whatever, you've got those golfers that are playing the rounds, and you've got that mentality that you can see that leaderboard as you're going round, and you know how close, how far off you are, whether that be a lead, whether it be a cut. Like that plays into the mental side of the game as well. So yeah, I think we should leave that alone. We'll move on then to this week. So we head over to sunny California this week, over to the Riviera Country Club for the Genesis Invitational. Jack, give us a bit of a preview of this course, if you will. Magnificent course.
It is, as you said, we head over to California, sunny California. Although it's not been that sunny, there's been a lot of rain this week. I'm monitoring the weather again, right up to lock. But we'll see how we get. We'll see how we do. More information in the newsletter tomorrow on that one. But yeah, we head to Riviera Country Club. This is a George Thomas design in 1927. It was then renovated by Bill Court and Ben Crenshaw in 1952. And then it's also had several Tom Fazio redesigns as well. It's kind of needed it. It just needed lengthening just to fit the modern game, basically, over those periods. It's a par 71. It's 7,322 yards long. There is 0 water on this golf course. It's at Kikuyu Rough and Kikuyu fairways. So, I mean, the Kikuyu Rough can be very... what's the word? It can be unpredictable. It can be your ball, if it goes in, it can either be buried deep or you can find yourself on a nice sort of fluffed up line and easy to get out of it. So it's a weird, unpredictable surface. So you have to be a bit careful if you end up in that this week. A lot of the golfers will end up in that this week, I'll tell you that. The greens here are POA, so we're back to POA. They're quite small greens, but they're lightning fast. They are lightning fast, these greens. I don't know how the rain that they've had in the area recently is going to affect it. Much like last week, the organizers of the event will not water these greens. So unless we do get rain, they're not going to be playing soft. They're just going to get harder and harder through the week. The easiest hole on this golf course is the first hole. I'm afraid that is where it ends. It's a par 5. Lots of birdies and eagles will be made on that hole. This golf course then becomes extremely difficult. It's a lot of the comps that you'll hear this week are to Augusta National. There's a lot of elevation changes in it, especially on the green complexes, which again is just going to cause havoc because the greens are POA. It's has the hardest fairways to hit on the PGA Tour. That's over the last 2 years. It's a bit of a shot maker's golf course, if I can sum it up perfectly. You've seen guys like Bubba Watson win here, good shot makers, like they can control the ball, do what they kind of want with it. Lots of dog legs as well, kind of suits a fader of the ball, hence why John Rahm's going to pop in every model you play this week. I love this golf course. This is a tough golf course. We go again. I wouldn't call it a comp course, but what we kind of had at Torrey Pines the other week, that's kind of what we're going to be looking at here for a winning score I'd say between 12 and 15 under. The historic cut mark around this place is between level par and 2 over. So it's a tough golf course. Not a lot of room for error around it. As I've mentioned, they're the hardest fairways to hit on tour. So you do well to get under par on this golf course over the first couple of days.
Yeah. Joaquin Neiman, obviously now of Live Golf, won this event last year, and a lot of what led to that win was his accuracy off the tee. He was lethal around the greens and on his approach last year as well. In terms of what factors you're looking at, Mark, this week, are those some of the things that are going to play into your model?
Yeah, I think around the green and driving distance are very big for me this week. Approach, again, had a little bit of success with sort of splitting approach up into different buckets, done the same this time. I've got the comp courses of Riviera and Augusta National in that Jack already talked about, and then I've got my usual sort of putting, POA, and then my sort of fantasy points, implied win percentage, those sorts of general fantasy scoring metrics as well. So nothing particularly unusual, just a bit more weight on around the green and driving distance than I would do normally.
So nothing too complex this week.
No, it's only 11. There's only 11 categories there this week.
You range yourself in there, Mac.
I know. Well, you get a headache. I don't know how Jack does it every week.
Jack, your model this week, talk me through it.
So I've got strokes gained off the tee, driving distance. You kind of see that's a common theme with previous winners here. They just hit the ball miles. So driving distance is quite a key stat for me this week. Strokes gained on approach as usual. Long-term proximity from 150 to 175 and long-term proximity from 175 to 200. That's kind of where you'd be hitting your second shots on sort of par fours on this golf course. Around the green, I've got some strokes gained around the green. I've got sand save percentage. Didn't mention it actually in the course preview there. These are deep bunkers, very deep bunkers on this golf course. They're hard to get out of, so you can have to, you can need to be good out the sand. The par 3 16th hole actually has one of them bunkers in the middle of the green. I didn't mention it in the preview, but I just thought I'd mention there. It's smack bang in the middle of the green. I've got strokes gained putting on POA, because we know how unpredictable POA is. I've got putting inside 10 feet, because we look at that every week. Well, I do. Bogey avoidance. Comp courses are Riviera, Augusta National, and Southern Hills. That's my model this week.
Nice, very nice. Yeah, I've a lot of similarities for me. Tee to green this week. A lot of weight on that as it was last week, and around the green, a lot of focus there for me. Some of them proximity approaches as well I've got in my model as well, Jack. So I think we approach is really important every week, but I think this week especially, I don't tend to focus on around the green too much unless the greens play a little bit difficult, where this week that's exactly where I'm going with it. So, yeah, one that I don't want to overcomplicate too much. I think this course, like I said, I think it lends to good ball strikers, accuracy off the tee, accuracy on approach, and people that can recover if they're not, if they're not on the green. You kind of golfers that do well around the green should do well this week here as well. I guess before we move into building some lineups, we'll just do the usual plug. Jack, you have a fantastic tracker that you continue to plow blood, sweat, and tears into every single week to make sure it's as up to date as possible with any withdrawals, confirmed events of golfers. But I am talking specifically about the tracker that Jack does for the season-long contest on FanTeam/Bet365. You can subscribe to that tracker, $3.99. It costs, we always say, less than a pint, less than I mean, I don't know. You guys are Southern based, so for $3.99, you probably can't buy a lot. You might be able to buy a pack of Chewies in the local shop or something like that. But $3.99, worth every penny. It does the work for you. You know exactly who's playing. There has been some withdrawals for this event this week, haven't there? And there was some last week, which will alter some people's teams.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the tracker comes in.
This is why you do not make any changes until the very last minute. I try and get that across every week to people, but I mean, you still get people making changes, and then we see a withdrawal, and then their plans go. It's up. If you can buy the tracker, I would suggest using it like that. Using it, I don't want to sound arrogant, but just use it properly. Golf's a very unpredictable sport. You get golfers withdrawing, I don't know, like an hour before tee time sometimes. So it's
or Mark McNeely during the round.
Exactly. So just I mean that's because he putted off the green and then putted into the water, didn't he, or something like that. He done something like that last week. So just it's $3.99 as Nick says. You can message me on the Twitter machine at Jack Humphrey DFS, and I will get you involved. Just DM me, and you can have access to it for £3.99, and that'll buy me my morning coffee.
Yeah. Do you know what? I had a friend who made a putt on a green last year. Took a picture and there was no ball because he'd done exactly the same. He'd basically putted off the green and into a little ditch at the back of the green. Goodbye ball. I did not think anyone else was capable of doing such a thing. But lo and behold, here we have PGA professionals doing just that. So Maverick McNeely, one of us.
Well, the heir to the billions is one of us.
Well, yeah. If he's putting like that, Mark, there's hope for us all to be that person. So
I will also say the DK Listener League is open, so head on over to the Putting for Dough Show Twitter handle. You can get access to it on there, or go to the comments on this video, and the access will also be there. The newsletter for this week will be out tomorrow. My core plays, which I had 2 out of the 3 last week. Bloody Morikawa, that cut, and I don't know, he was just bad last week, Morikawa. But we'll get into why I think he was bad in a minute. The newsletter will be out tomorrow. Yeah, my core plays have been there. Mark's cut makers, bets. And
3 out of 4 last week. Morikawa was the 4th.
Yeah, so we were both on Morikawa last week, and we found us both. So hey ho. But I will get into why I think that was in a minute. But it's free to sign up. You know, what are you doing if you're not signed up to it? It's completely free, and we've been printing money all year. So just get involved. It hits
Jack,
your email.
Jack, when we start charging for that, you're not deciding the price.
Well, I know that.
Just so you know.
You've basically become the Putting for Dough Show accountant. So you're in charge of everything now.
For everybody, all these people who keep pricing stuff too cheaply, it drives me spare.
There'll be no 50% off here. We will be selling
50% on
exactly what we are worth. Yeah, 50% on. Absolutely.
We will also be having some merch soon as well. So when I'm hoping, we will. So for the Masters this year, we'll have the DK Listener League, and the winner of it will also get a PFD show cap.
Ooh.
Nice.
It's only a few weeks away.
There we go.
Nick, you might have to do some proper research now.
Yeah, may well just have to. Might just have to curb everything in my life.
And, well, that'll be the week you don't turn up.
Yeah. Patreon is on its way, lads. Do you know what?
OnlyFans.
Yeah. Oh no, we would not do that to you. We do this for the love of the game.
Oh no, but honestly, seriously, with the newsletter, like, I'm not just saying
there's so much content in it, Jack, isn't there? There's
so much content. It's completely free. I mean, I don't know if you play DFS golf. I don't know why you've not signed up to it.
I agree. Nice little new logo there this week from DraftKings. We've actually got the PGA logo there on the daily fantasy golf. Nice to see that they're updating that. But
By the
then
way,
we've
sorry.
still got golfers with flags.
Yeah. Also very successful. That icon, new icon done looks a lot like the old fan team one.
It does.
It really, really does.
It's sort of makes you question what came first, the chicken or the egg.
It's spookily so, to be honest. But there you go.
We'll start off with the guys priced over 10k. So no surprise this week. John Ram comes in at 11,100 top price. Scheffler at 10.7. Rory drops a little bit this week. Disappointing week for him last week, 10,500. And then Justin Thomas, who showed glimpses of the old JT. He comes in at 10,100. So we've got a bit of a price hike there on JT this week. Won't talk about the nines just yet because I just want to approach this top four range because I know that there's been talk in our group chat today that there's potentially a couple of golfers that you're going to be playing from this range, specifically from you, Mark. So, I mean, I'm assuming, and this is just an assumption, we're all John Ram this week.
Well, John Rahm is number one in my model, but and I mean, God, we could record this bit and play it back every week, couldn't we? About why he's so good, etc., and all this sort of thing. Just thinking from a strategy point of view, that was what I was talking about last week. Jack, I think you said you were going to play two of the 10k guys, wasn't it, last week? And yeah, that was the play, I think. I'm wondering if it's the same again this week. And if it is, funnily enough, I think the two cheaper ones, JT and Rory, would do me fine. I don't think it's a bad option at the moment. JT is like second in around the green the last 32 rounds, which is really important stuff. Last couple of events, he started, his ball striking is back on track and everything. We did say, I can't remember, it would have been a couple of weeks ago, that from a stats point of view, he's all over the place, but he seems to have sort of rectified that a little bit. And so as the cheapest one of those, I think if I was playing 20 entries, say, I'd probably have a bunch of them with the sort of each combination of those two out of those four.
Yeah.
Just because you can't make a case really against any of them. The top three of my model are all in that top four.
Yeah, they're all strong. When you look at the key stats this week, they're all strong tee to green. They're all really good approach players. It's hard to pick this week. I'm inclined. Justin Thomas is still my least favourite of the four, but I think that's just due to inconsistency that we've seen though last week much better. Jack, your pick of the four?
It's John Rahm again. I just don't get it why people are not playing them. I mean, the top 10s in the last 5 events, 2 wins, 3rd, 7th, and 8th. I don't get why people are not playing them. You can go on about that ownership stuff all you like. When he's putting up those type of performances each week, he is on a mission. He didn't even have his best game last week, and he's still come third. Like he was, I know a couple of people on Twitter that went to the event and were watching him, just saying he was playing like his B game, and he come third with his B game in that event. The guy is on a mission. I think he's probably more ticked off now that Scheffler's gone to number 1 and it's not him. People go on about he's number 1 in my model before we go on, but people go on about the ownership. You can get different elsewhere within your build. Sometimes you just eat chalk. The thing that Liv has done for the PGA Tour is took away these tier just below these guys that can also win, like the Koepkas and the DJs and things like that. It's taking them away, and now the chalk will win a lot more than you might. All right, 1 week it might not pay off, but I just don't see that happening anytime soon with him. You can get different within your lineup elsewhere. I'm eating the chalk on John Ram. I don't care. I will play him until he burns me. I'm just going to play him.
Yeah. Can't disagree with any of that, to be honest. John Rahm, yeah, there's no argument against it at all. Like you said, the ownership is probably the only argument you can make, but then even the projected ownership at the moment isn't enough where you would say, well, that will put you off if you're even trying to play differently, because his ownership, I think because you see in the good form from Scheffler, because Rory's there and you've got a bit of a discount on Rory this week, there's enough in the rest of this top range to attract some of that ownership away from him, where people will try and play a little bit differently. And he's just in that kind of form where if you don't play him, it's kind of like at your peril.
Yeah, it certainly is at your peril. I mean, he's good course history here as well. He's played this course 4 times, 2 top 10s, made the cut every time. He's been in the top 25 every time he's played this golf course. This golf course should suit up well for him as well. He's a big hitter of the golf ball. We all know that. Putts, for me, he's a better putter on the power surface. So I think he'll love these greens. I think he likes fast greens as well. It's just everything about him. Approach. He's green across the board. He's number 1 in the models. He's going to be number 1 in everyone's models. And what you are finding is people are looking at the ownership. Oh no, I can't play someone at 30%. But what you're finding is it starts balancing itself out. I've noticed over the course of the last few weeks. So he's getting to 30%, but there's also 2 or 3 other players that get in there as well. It's kind of, and then the players behind that are like 28%. It's becoming very balanced out with the ownership. Listen, sometimes you've got to eat the chalk. John Rahm is very, very good chalk, and I think you're a fool if you don't eat it.
Yeah, I agree. Anything further from you, Mark?
I'm sorry, Mark. I know it goes against everything we do for DFS, but
I just say you should play just any 2 of these top 4. My point about this though is this is more strategy thing, and now we're coming to the 9K range. It's an interesting point. If people are playing 2 of these in the 10K, basically the 9 and the 8K range are just unavailable to you.
Yep.
So if you're playing multiple lineups, or even if you're playing single entry, I would be more inclined to actually fade the whole of the top 10, the 10K and above, just to get access to these players, which other people don't have access to. But that's not based on anything to do with golf or anything, or what I expect to happen. That's purely based on game theory, because the 9s and the 8Ks just you can't do it if you're going to play 2 of the top 10s. So if I had to choose one golfer out of the lot, it's John Rahm. If I'm doing a 1-player lineup, but I just think, but I think if you're playing 20 lineups or more than that, you just pick every combination of those 4, for your top 2. I think
none of them are bad plays in that top 10K round. None of my order would be Rahm. I say I bet JT. I think he's found something within his game. I like my order's Rahm, JT, Rory, and then Scheffler. I just didn't like what Scheffler was doing in that last day, spraying the ball everywhere off the tee. You can't do that around this golf course.
Yeah.
But that's my order. But none of them are bad plays.
Yeah. I actually went with not a fade on Rahm last week, but I was more. We talked about it on the show. You're either playing John Rahm or Rory. You're committing to one or the other last week, and I went more Rory, which is probably why I had a bad week, to be fair. But I'm again he's probably my favorite pick of the 4, aside from Rahm again this week. When you look at his game last week, the only areas really where he dropped strokes were his putting and his short game, both of which he's been so strong in recently. Everywhere else across the board, his ball striking, his approach play, his tee to green, we're still all absolutely fine. If his putting doesn't abandon him this week, which you would expect it won't, you're going to see Rory back up there on the leaderboard again. So, but there's no bad pick here in this 10K plus range. And like you said, if you're playing a couple of these, I think you can sort of eliminate most of the 8 and 9 range. 7K range is actually one of my favorite ranges this week, but we'll come to that. let's have a look at these 9K guys then, because we've only got a few here as well. We've got Xander Schauffele at 9.9, Max Homer 9.7. We all said last week that we felt like we couldn't play Max Homer. He didn't finish, I don't think, fantastically. No, he must have dropped off a little bit. I didn't watch much of the last day, but he wasn't doing too bad early on, but dropped off there. So Max Homer at 9.7, Tony Finau 9.5, Sung Jae at 9.4, Morikawa at 9.3, Sam Burns at 9.1, and Patrick Cantlay at 9,000. Jack, I'll come to you first. This 9K range, I know that you had a little bit to say on Morikawa and you were high on him last week. What's your thoughts on him this week? And who are you going to in this range, if anyone?
Yeah, I mean, I will probably go back to Morikawa this week. My issue with him, and it's something I should have looked into more. I didn't, unfortunately. I didn't get the time, but he'd only ever played Waste once before. And obviously Waste only becoming an elevated event this year. There's a reason. It's kind of probably why Rory struggled as well. Rory has only ever played it once before it becoming an elevated event this year. I think there's a reason why they've not been showing up there. Maybe they just don't like the golf course. Obviously, Rory struggled. Morikawa missed the cut. We know he was very, very popular. I like him this week, though. I like him because he's very accurate. And I think if you can bring that game here this week, being accurate off the tee, he'll do well. I mean, his finishes here over the last 3 years. He was second here last year, 43rd the year before, and 26th the year before that. So it's a course that he's used to. He's played here. I like the fact that he's played it 3 years on the trot. I like that. I like there's no missed years between any of that. I like him because of the accuracy. I will go back and because he burned people last year. This is where I say you can get different. Because he burned people last week. Sorry, his ownership's going to drop down this week. People will be scared to play him. I think anyway. I mean, you're looking at. I've got him at the. I don't know if you guys are the same. He's about the sort of 5th highest owned in this range at the minute, in this 9K range, 4th or 5th highest owned. So he's taken a dip, and that's obviously on projected ownership. That's because he's burned people last week. I'm quite happy to go back to him and take the chance again, probably in the GPP lineups. Because of the way I'm going to build my cash lineups, there's no way I can get anyone in this range because I'm picking 2 out of that top 10K, as we've mentioned. But in a GPP lineup, I think I pick Rahm at the top and then I go to Morikawa down in this range.
Mark, any advance on Morikawa?
Yeah, I'll probably go back to him. It's such. There's so many nice plays here, but like you say, Jack, you're not going to get to them unless you fade, or at least only play one of the 10K guys. Funnily enough, Max Homer's my favourite in this range. His course history, like last 3 years, 10th, 1st, and 5th, 37th year for that. So that's great. He's been making cuts for fun. Grades out well across the board on pretty much all the stats. So if I was fading the top 4 or one of them and only playing one of them, probably Max Homer would be my replacement there.
Ooh. Yeah, I was surprised that he's finished there. I didn't realise he dropped off a little bit last week, but I remember seeing him it was either the first or second day and thinking, we were all saying, no, you can't play him at that price. And there he was again. But yeah, obviously didn't finish his round fantastically.
He had that bad bunker shot, didn't he, on the last day? Have you seen it? He lobbed his club.
Slammed the club into the floor. Yeah. I think in this range,
Finau will pop every week. I mean, Finau is number 4 in my model. He's probably high in your guys' model. But that just drives up his ownership. People love Tony Finau. He's the high. Yeah, I've got him as the highest projected owned in this range at the minute. He's got a good course history here. I just worry with Finau. it's kind of sort of turned into Rory in the last couple of weeks, where he has that one bad round, and I think if he has that one bad round here, this is a golf course that you can't make it back on, kind of thing.
Yeah. I quite like the plodder, as you call him, Jack. I quite like the plodder again this week. Just think the form is there.
Yeah, really good form.
The form's there with him. He had that 4th at the Farmers. He come 6th last week. These last 2 events, he's gained 8 strokes tee to green, which is that's phenomenal. But his short game is what's really popping at the moment, and his approach. So I quite like, if I was going to this range, I think as well playing on the ownership a little bit. I think with some of the names in this range, he'll probably be one of the lower owned in the 9Ks. But yeah, I think you're just getting steady play out of him every week. He's there or thereabouts. No surprise, once again last week, he was sort of in the mix the whole way through, really. Just plodding his way through the tournament.
I like Cantlay as well, just must say. Again, burned people last week with a miscut. Decent. I mean, listen, like guys, all of these guys are, it's probably the same for you, but all of these guys here are inside my top 20 of my model.
Yeah, Cantlay's 7th for me. So
I've got one guy in the 7K range who's broke into my top 10, which we'll get to that in a minute. But I like Cantlay. He's got good course history here. Plays better on these harder tracks as well. I find I don't think Waste was kind of for him. It's not the type of golf course that I think that sets up well for him. He's excellent putter on Poa as well. Loves Poa greens. So I like Cantlay. Good course history, like I mentioned. Made the cut every time he's been here. 4th place finish is the best finish that he's had. Has started slow this season. 26th at Amex, 16th at Tournament of the Champions, and obviously the miscut last week. But if there's a place that he could get going, it's probably around here.
Yeah. I think there's a few. I think you could start off a really nice lineup with a couple of 9K players.
Yeah,
I really think. But you'll
build a really good balanced lineup this week. If you're not, if you're just going to completely fade the top guys, or even just go with one. I think you can probably build a little bit more balance by using some of the, especially the lower end of this 9K range. Definitely, that's
what makes this a great DFS event, though, isn't it? This it really is
variation with lineup build.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Let's have a look at this 8K range then. So a couple of names in here that are intriguing. We've got Victor Hovland headlining it at 8-9, Cameron Young 8-8, Will Zalatoris 8-7. Spieth at 8-6, Tom Kim, bit disappointing last week, 8-5, Jason Day at 8-4, Matt Fitzpatrick 8-3, Hideki Matsuyama 8-2. Tyrrell Hatton was fantastic last week.
Yeah, a good week.
Yeah, fantastic. It came as advertised. I know we talked about him on the show.
Yeah.
He seems to have turned a bit of a corner in his game as well. Very, very consistent last week. So Tyrrell Hatton 8-1. I might even stop calling him the petulant child. I think he's shrugged that chip off his shoulder. Adam Scott and Justin Rose round us off at 8,000. Mark, I'll come to you first in this range.
Yeah, I'm interested in a couple of. There's loads of good plays here, but what I wanted to really talk about was Will Zalatoris. He comes up really high in my model for some reason. He's 6th in my model, which is the highest of the 8s. But his form isn't exactly being wonderful. And,
I don't think you can play him.
But he's got last 2 times he's been here, he's made the cut. And he's decent on the comp courses. He's top 15 in all my approach categories. 10th in driving distance over the last 32 as well. It's funny. That's why I brought him up, Jack, because statistically I look at it and you can't see anything wrong with it. But there's something in the back of my head that says, "Nah, don't play him." So
I'll tell you what it is. Well, he's 5th in my model, and my model only looks at the last 32 rounds, as everyone knows.
Yeah.
The reason why you can't play him is because he withdrew from the Waste last week. he was in that field initially, and then when it got announced on the Friday, his name was off the list. They announced him officially in that field on their Twitter handle. This is an injury related.
Do you think
withdrawal.
Jack's still plaguing him?
I do, yeah. So I listened to a podcast earlier today, and they had a professional swing coach on there who has been studying Zalatoris in the events that he has played this year. And they were saying that Zalatoris has changed his swing ever so slightly, and they believe it's to compensate for this back injury.
Oh.
I don't think you can play him because I've heard that, and he was in that field last week. He was meant to play that event. They announced him officially. He withdrew. For that reason, I don't care if he comes in at 4% ownership. I don't think you can play him on a tough goal. Let's say he ends up in this Kukua rough, like I've mentioned with it. The ball can bury itself in it sometimes, and he tries to launch one out, and then the back goes. If you want to play him in a GPP, if you're entering, let's say you're entering 150 lineups, sure, why not? If you're playing a single bullet or something like that, you cannot play Will Zalatoris this week.
I'm not playing any more players with any injury doubts because I keep getting stung. So I'm not doing it.
But it does. It does go. It's like I mentioned earlier. It goes against everything that we are programmed as DFS players because we want to take advantage of things like this when we think. But I don't think there's an advantage to be had with this one.
Yeah,
personally.
I'm inclined to agree.
He'll go and win now.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think he ranks so highly in the model because he does typically, when you're looking at historic rounds, he does tick a lot of boxes. But what we've seen from him this year just doesn't inspire much confidence. Jack, it's 8K range.
Yeah, I kind of like Victor Hovland, actually. Victor Hovland breaks into my top 10 of my model. I kind of like what he's been doing. Or obviously, he was 42nd last week at Waste. Again, I don't think Waste is a particularly good golf course for Victor Hovland. He was 13th the week before that, and then the 18th, and then he had the win, which ironically was at the Hero World Championship, which is also a Tiger Woods Invitational event. So he clearly likes Tiger Woods Invitational events. So he went back. That was back to back at the Hero. He won that the year before as well. He's got good course history around this place, with a 4th and a 5th place finish. Only slight concern with me with Victor is he's around the green play. He's not particularly great around the green, but if he's dialed in with his approach, which he has been all year, then yeah, I like Victor in this range. Again, in my cash lineup, I'm not going to be able to do it. In GPPs, I will probably go for it.
Yeah, I do like Hovland as well. My concern is exactly the same. It's that around the green play. Jason Day, I actually quite like in this range, which I did not think I would be saying anytime soon. But he's playing some really good golf this year. He's not really losing strokes anywhere. His putting's been fantastic. Short game's been fantastic. He's just gaining strokes across the board. And the form coming in, he seems to be one of those golfers that something has just clicked in his game. Obviously, we're talking about someone who is a former world number one, Jason Day. The golfer is there. He had that run of really poor golf, especially at the start of last year, end of the year before, was missing cuts left, right, and centre. But his last 3 finishes tied 18th, tied 7th, and then 5th at the Waste Management. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from Jason Day at the moment. Quite consistent golf. Ticking boxes for me this week there. Is there anyone else in this 8K range that you like before we move on?
Quick comment about Jason Day. Quick comment about Jason Day is he's only played here once. He missed the cut in the last 5 years. So
that's a concern for me based on what we saw last week.
Everything else is great about him. It's just that.
Yeah.
But that's why he's 8-4 rather than 9-4 or something. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. I think I'm not going to take too much from that because I'm not too weighted to course history this week here. And if he's played it the once, I mean, I'm just more so going off form, but I understand the concerns there. Absolutely.
I'm probably going to play Jordan Spieth this week, which is something no one's. Mark's shaking his head.
I just think you got to remember your brand, Jack.
I am
Think
ready
about
to
your
go.
brand.
I'm ready to go on full tilt this week. I mentioned that earlier in the course preview. I think this golf course is a shot maker's golf course. Jordan Spieth can be that. He's got good course history around this place. He's played it 5 times over the last 5 years, I believe. Yep, and
Yep.
you know he's the best place finish he's got here is a 9th. He was 6th last week at Waste. Good 6th place finish as well. He played really well at Waste last week. Made a bit of a charge. He just couldn't putt anything on the last day to get himself back into contention. So yeah, I'm ready to go on full tilt this week with Jordan Spieth. We'll see how that one goes on Saturday morning.
This feels like the lowest price we've had him for a while as well, doesn't it? 8-6.
What do you guys think about Adam Scott? We've got a question there. I love Adam Scott. Very fantastic course history.
9th in my model, I think he is, or something like that.
Yeah, he's
highest
high
of
on
the
the
8Ks. Yeah, 9th. Yeah, highest of my 8Ks.
It also, just I know you want to get onto the 7s. If you want to play an injured player, I think you play Matthew Fitzpatrick around this golf course. This feels like a Matthew Fitzpatrick golf course to me. And obviously he's dealing with that neck issue. He's played here a couple of times, I believe, as well. 5th and 30th place finish. Yeah. He made the cut last week at Phoenix, so it looks like he's probably getting over that neck injury that he had at Pebble. He would be the one that I go to over Zalatoris if I wanted to get a little bit weird and try and take that chance with an injured player.
Similar to Jason Day as well. He's only played here once in the last 5 years and missed the cut. But I'm kind of inclined to go back to Tyrrell Hatton, as well.
Mr. Consistent.
Last cut that he missed, Irish Open last year back in the beginning of July. Again, another player who his form's fantastic at the moment, gaining strokes off the tee, gaining strokes on his approach. Ball striking's there, tee to green, fantastic. Short game probably where that's letting him down a little bit, but he has notoriously been a pretty steady putter throughout his career on tour. So I'm inclined to go back there again this week as well. He's just, if you're putting someone in your cut makers article, Mark, he is making cuts.
Yeah, he was there last week for that reason.
Again this week.
Yeah.
Listen, there's too much to actually mention in this 7K range. There's so many golfers. One that I am just going to draw attention to before we round off anyone else that you're looking at, because it is such a packed range. It'd be wrong if we didn't mention the name, but Tiger Woods is playing this week at 7,300.
No, you can't play him unless you play him.
You absolutely can't play him. I agree. I'm just inclined, Jack, as to whether you're going to throw out Tiger to miss the cut bet, or if there's any bet there on Tiger this week.
I put out my bets yesterday. You can get Tiger to make the cut at 2-1 boosted on Bet365. I'm going to have a little punt on that. The bastards limited me to 20 quid on it. Oh, sorry, I swore again. I really should stop swearing. They limited me to 20 quid on it. But hey, I'm taking it. So yeah, if you can get more on it, get more on it. He's going to make the cut. Listen, I don't want to go too mad on this because we've still got quite a bit to do. But if he's turning up here, he must be as healthy as he can be, because this is not an easy walk, this golf course. Why not just save yourself for the Masters? I would say. So if he's turning up here, then he must be the healthiest he can be. I saw a bit of his press conference earlier. He looks fine. We'll see when he starts walking this golf course. I'm excited to watch him play for I would rather watch Tiger Woods, like I mentioned, than Josh Allen or Gareth Bale hit golf shots.
Gareth Bale thin golf shots off pavements. The golf gods have listened to our prayers as well, and I think they've paired Tiger with Rory, which is just
Rory, Justin Thomas. It's a fantastic
what we
group.
like to see. What we like to see. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And my first thoughts on it was the PGA kind of rolling him out there. I mean, he's still one of the poster boys of golf. He's still, like you said, him, Rory, Ram, some of the more influential golfers on the PGA Tour in terms of the decisions that get made. Is that why we're seeing Tiger Woods this week? But like you said, there's a lot of risk there because if he goes out there, he's not 100%. The Masters isn't too far away now. You would think, if anything, he'd be saving himself, preparing himself for that. So interesting to see him in the field this week.
He just has to be the healthiest he can be if he's turning up here. As I said, this is not an easy walk, this golf course. Not an easy walk at all. So...
Jack, whilst I'm with you then, this 7K range is packed again with names. It is a strong field this week. If you're going to play two of the guys from the sort of 10K plus range, or even dipping into that 9K range, we're going to have to come down to the 7Ks and potentially the low 7Ks as well. So of this range, just throw out a couple of the names that you really like this week.
I'll start with the first one. It's Siwoo Kim at 7,900. You want consistent. He's turned into that. We know we mention him every week now on the pod.
Yeah.
He used to be boom or bust. He's not anymore. He makes cuts consistently. I say that this week I missed the cut now, but I mean, he's had a good start to the year. He's already got a win to start the year. He's got good course history here. He's made the cut a few times. He's got a third place finish, which I like to see. With the course history, he was the one in the top 10 of my model from the 7K range. So he ranks 9th in the top 10 of my model. So he's breaking the mold there of them top guys. You know, he's beating a lot of the 9K and a lot of the 8K to get into the top 10 of my model this week. So yeah, I'm just going to go back to him. He's consistent. Great player. I enjoy watching Siwoo Kim. And the other guy that's cracking the top 20 of my model in the 7K range is Tommy Fleetwood at 7,300. I mean, this is just too cheap, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that.
7,300 for Tommy Fleetwood. I mean, getting disappointed. Obviously, he's missed the cut last week, hasn't he? But he's got decent enough course history. He hasn't played it for the last 3 years, but before that, he's got 2 top 40 finishes here. Very good on the approach, which we'd like to see. Pretty sort of bang average, tour average off driving distance, which is fine as long as he's there or thereabouts. So yeah, I like Tommy Fleetwood this week. They're probably 2 of the guys that I'll be targeting in the 7K range this week.
Yeah, I was on Tommy Fleetwood last week. The cut going out didn't help. But yeah, I'm with you on that. I'll go back to that well again this week. Feels cheap at the price. Historically really good around greens. One of the purer ball strikers. I think he's got one of the nicest swings on the tour. It almost feels like an unfinished, unperfect swing, but the way he strikes that ball is it's crisp. So yeah, I like that this week. Mark?
For me, the guy who broke my model or got into the top 10, 7.8K is Wyndham Clark. He's not missed a cut since September. He's 4th in driving distance, last 32, 6th in per putting, good around the green. Not much not to like there. And the other guy, I've just been looking through and stuff, and I've just thinking about, because Siwoo is obviously wonderfully consistent, but just looking at guys who Adam Hadwin hasn't missed a cut at least the last 8. He's actually got a good course history until last year, where he missed the cut. So I might have to look into him in a little bit more detail.
He played well last week as well.
Yeah, he does. I might have to look into him in a little bit more detail. He looks like he could be quite consistent. But yeah, this Siwoo consistency thing is just absolutely mad. Just another quick thing about a guy in a 7K. Anybody listening, I hope you bet on Taylor Montgomery missing the cut last week. Because definitely got mentioned.
Guess what? I'll be going back to him this week. This is he loves Poa. He loves putting on Poa greens, by the way. This is where we want him this week.
Yeah, so so I think there's some interesting options down here as well. I just looking down as well, Lucas Herbert looks been in pretty good form as well. When at this price, you're not going to get everything. The sort of rounded stats package like you do with that goes in the 9s and the 10s. You have to go and pick on something, don't you?
There's a few down there, like you say.
Yeah.
Alex Norman's another one. He missed the cut last week, but
wasn't it as well?
I played Hawkshaw last week. Made the cut.
Yep. He's got terrible course history though.
Yeah, I wouldn't be playing him here. KH Lee pops in my model, by the way. I won't go into details. We're pushing time already. KH Lee pops in my model from this range. I think Keegan's a good play in this range. Like I say, I'll go back to Taylor Montgomery. Lowry's an interesting one, but he is in poor form. Lucas Herbert, like Mark mentioned, I like Bo Hostler again. I'll probably go back to him. I'll probably play a bit of Denny McCarthy as well. We know what he's like when he gets hot with the putter. I'll definitely go back to Scott Stallings. Made the cut last week. It was in my core play. Come 23rd last week. Pretty good from him. He was 6,900 last week, so he's gone up $200 this week.
Terrible course history for Stallings. Absolutely awful.
Was he?
Yeah, last 3 times he's been there, miscut. Because other than that, he's been fantastic. Form-wise, he's been fantastic, really.
Yeah.
As is Detry as well. He's back again.
Yeah,
when
I saw his price, I thought he looked a little bit cheap. He's flattered to deceive a little bit over his past few events. But that said, I don't think he's missed a cut or certainly sort of last 6 months of events, wherever he's been, European Tour, PGA Tour.
Yeah. He hasn't played here before, though. That's the only thing.
No, he's not. No, he hasn't.
But again, you can't have everything at this price range.
No, you can't. Absolutely. I guess we better start building some lineups. So,
can't we quickly talk about the spaceman, Sam Ryder?
Yeah, he's my go-to in this play range. So.
Yeah. And Jack loves calling him the spaceman as well. So
I have literally no idea what you're on about with this, but yeah, okay.
I know exactly what he's on about, and it's probably best that you don't know what he's on about.
Good.
There's been enough foul-mouthed words throughout the show already, and we don't need any more. We have just got a question there before we do build this team. Between these guys, what are your favourite two? Detry, Vegas, Rogers, Kitayama. I think I mentioned Vegas last week, actually, as a guy that was potentially a little bit cheap, but normally pretty good off the tee. I think of those 4,
was it Detry, Vegas?
Detry, Vegas,
Rogers. Kitayama.
I like Patrick Rogers here.
Yeah, I would.
Course history.
I would probably be saying Patrick Rogers and maybe
I don't mind Vegas.
Big Detry would be the second guy for me.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah, I don't like Kitayama.
Yeah, no, Detry and Rogers for me as well, definitely. We'll build 2 lineups. We're going to build a 2 from the top, and then I want to see what we can put together with a bit of a balanced build. So
okay, Carol.
I'm going to... We'll throw in some consonants there as well.
Yeah.
So we'll go with John Rahm and...
JT.
Let's throw in...
JT, yeah. 7-2. Wow.
Right away, we're coming right down to the low 7s. So...
Put Mark's spaceman in. 6-7.
You liked him as well this week, Jack.
I do, but I just don't get the reference at all. But whatever, you can explain to me after.
No. I'll send you some
maybe?
videos.
Tommy Fleetwood, Nick,
Yep, like that.
Tiger. It gets you to Tiger, doesn't it? It does. Oh dear. No, we can't do Tiger.
You can get Noren in there. You can get.
You could come up
Williams
a bit,
again.
couldn't you, and drop
Come a
that
little
down.
bit. If you come a bit lower, you can then go to the more top end of the 7K range.
I was going to say, what happens if you chuck Siwoo in now? What does that leave you with? 6'9" if you chuck Siwoo in.
6'9", so we can come down to. Is Rogers
Rock.
available at 6'9"?
No, I would play Putnam. I only just missed the cut last week.
Yeah, don't mind that. It's it's top heavy, but it's not bad with Mark Spaceman in there as well. It's not bad, but it's what if you're going to play two from that sort of 10K plus range, you've got to do it.
You've got to take some chances, haven't you?
Yeah. Let's have a look at something that's a little bit more balanced. I'm not even going to start at the top. Let's come down a little bit. Colin Morikawa, you both liked.
Yeah.
So let's start with a Morikawa build.
Victor?
Tyrrell Hatton, do you want to get him in there?
I am going to put Tyrrell Hatton in, and let's throw Victor in. Okay.
That's all right. So still leaves you at 7'9", so you could get Siwoo in this lineup.
And Wyndham Clark in as well, if you wanted.
Siwoo, Wyndham Clark.
Yeah. And then it takes you back up to 8. So you should put Adam Scott in, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you do.
The cash line up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quite like that lineup.
Yeah, I like that.
All three of us could enter that in the host team contest. Cool.
Just done the work for me there.
Yep.
I'll see you at the bottom of the leaderboard next week. Yeah. Quite happy with that. And I think that rounds us off nicely, fellas. We've gone a little bit over time, but that's absolutely fine. We love chatting golf, but we're probably all in trouble. So let's round off there. Mark, where can the listeners find yourself?
At _SMRF on Twitter.
Jack?
At Jack Humphrey DFS on the Twitter machine.
And you can find me at Nick of Wigan. Hopefully sounded a little bit more normal this week, as normal as someone can sound who's come from the north of England, from Wigan. Enjoy the golf this week. Jack, you look like you're dying to say something there.
No, I was just going to say thank you for joining us, everyone. If you can give us a like and a thumbs up and a review and all that, that really helps us out. And newsletter will be out for tomorrow. And we'll be back next week to preview the Honda.
We absolutely will. Don't forget to gamble responsibly. And as always, drivers for show, but puts for dough. And we will see you next Tuesday.